Welcome to another edition of the Nerds to Light podcast. We're your host today, JayRow.
And Crump Casso.
Welcome. We got a special guest in the building today.
Thank you, gentlemen. My name is Marcus.
Welcome back, Marcus. This is not the first time he's been here. Hopefully it's not the last. And today's episode, better late than never, we're going to talk about the Will Smith dilemma and what happened at the Oscars. So I want to be a good host, and I'm going to let my guest today, Marcus, start off with the first question is, have you seen the video?
I had the misfortune of seeing that.
Okay. And also keep in mind, all of us have seen the video. Plus, we also know that he has a 10-year ban from the Academy. So,
which Harvey Weinstein has won 80 different Academy Awards, 80 of them, like 80.
Did not know that. Wow.
And he's in jail right now.
He's in
because
prison.
in prison for all the stuff he's done. That is
many years after the fact, but yes.
Many years after the fact. It should have been there way before.
Yeah. Harvey Weinstein has been, he was banned for life and expelled from the Academy, all their proceedings, so the Oscars, Grammys, all that good stuff. It's just, 10 years is a long time, but I think given the enormity of what Will did, I think 10 years is appropriate. But I also think, wow, what a mighty fine time for the Academy to, find their scruples. What a fine realize, oh yeah, we're not beholden to any one particular person, regardless how big their star may be.
Right.
When you both saw the video, what was the thought process in your head when it happened?
They don't normally make these kind of jokes.
Did you thought it was scripted?
I did at first. Yeah,
that's what they don't usually tell these kinds of jokes. This is unusual.
Yeah, and because when I first saw it, I was like, oh snap, they do this now?
Right.
But then there was like, I was on Twitter, they were like, check out this Australian feed. And when I looked at it, it was like the legit slap. Because when I saw it before, it was like a delay and it had frozen it. It didn't even look like he did anything. I was sitting there like, why did Will just up and leave?
Yeah.
Because he just went there and then he left. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, he slapped him. And I was like, at first I was shocked because this is coming from someone of Will Smith who has never lost his cool. He has always been a class act. He's always been someone when he's out in the media and he's doing interviews, respectful, humble, funny, energetic. But to see it's like we saw a completely different side.
Yeah. Even the smack was weird. That's another reason why I thought it was staged. I was like, why did he smack him like that? It was weird.
Yeah, and it was just weird because for me, it was like, I guess I don't want to, and please, I'm sorry for overstepping. My thing was when I processed it, I was like, I was upset because I was like, it was a joke. Chris Rock did not deserve to get hit for a joke. I
think, gosh, man, so I want to go back to something you said earlier. You said, he's been this respectable, upstanding guy. I think Will Smith is the greatest actor of all time. And I think that, his ability to portray this image of himself as somebody that is cool, he's a ladies' man, he keeps his stuff together, not any big problems, he takes his money, takes his check, everybody's laughing, having a good time. That's not Willard Smith. That's Will Smith, but that's not Willard Smith. I think he spent the last however many decades with this image that he's portrayed in public. And I'm not, casting judgment on the man. Yeah, I don't know what his demons are. I don't know what, what's going on behind closed doors, when the camera's not rolling. But I think we caught a glimpse of it. I think we caught a glimpse of the man behind the mask. And I think that for that reason, Will Smith might be the greatest actor of all time, because to portray image for decades, oh my God. This is 90s guy.
And you said something interesting, Marcus, that he's the greatest actor of all time. But we also have to remember too that a lot of times what we see on camera is not who they are behind the camera. Because these people have to put out a front of themselves to protect themselves, really. Or to just be able to live just to live, separate reality from fiction. So it's crazy you say that, because it makes it even more sense that it just blurred. That line was blurred.
Well, I was often saying that Nike had the greatest propaganda, greatest marketing team of all time, better than the Bad Boys of the 90s. Mm-hmm. All right, better than Bad Boy of the 90s, because obviously 90s they already had the shiny suits, and you wanted to be like, Mace and Diddy or Puffy back then. You wanted to, you want to be cool with Bad Boys. And also you want to be like Mike Lowry. You wanted to be like, Will Smith. You wanted to be cool like him. Oh, I did. He was awesome. He had all his ladies, man, didn't really try hard, had money, he was cool. Ladies thought he was cool. Guys, ladies want to be with him. Guys want to be like him. Right. And I'm thinking about Puffy during the time. Same thing. Of course, Puffy had more haters back then, but I'm thinking about that. And when I think about how during this era of social media, you can't hide yourself for too long. Nike has the greatest marketing team of all time, because if the Jordan we knew of today was visible to us back then, his shoes wouldn't be close to what they are now.
Yeah.
We call him the greatest player. Well, I don't call him the greatest, but some people wouldn't call him the greatest NBA player of all time, because we'll see how
disrespectful, Marcus.
Hey, I call we'll see how petty he is. He's not we also the Last Dance. He's not that great of a teammate.
Yeah, he's not.
No, he's awful. No,
I won't comment on that.
He's not a leader either. He's
a leader.
He's a leader. I didn't say he was a bad leader. I'm saying he's not a good one.
He's a goat for a reason, man.
Ask Steve Kerr how he felt when Jordan put his hands on him. That's not how you talk to somebody. You don't talk to somebody using your hands.
I won't defend that.
I think you use your words to talk to people. I don't think you use your hands to talk to people. I think when you use your hands, you're not trying to have a conversation. At that point, you're trying to inflict harm on somebody. There's malice in your heart when that happens. And I think just bringing it back to Willard, I'm sorry. I think that it's a travesty, man. Seeing Chris Rock get assaulted because Willard felt like he had to attack that man to defend his wife. When, if you look at the joke that was told, I think what was it? He said, Jada Jane. I don't know. It was a 5-word joke. The whole thing. I remember counting it because I was incredulous. I was like, did I miss something? How did these 5 words trigger such a visceral reaction from this man?
He said, Jada, G.I. Jane, can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
G.I. Jane too. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Can't wait to see it. That's all he said.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And so I was in the Army. And when I think about the men and women and other individuals I served with in the military, I don't think of any women as being weaker. I don't know if I ever told you the story, Joe. I had a person, Captain Archer at the time. If she ever sees, she's going to remember this. Captain Archer was pregnant at this particular PT test we had. And I beat her on this test. But we had 10 other races before then, and she smoked me. She destroyed me. I couldn't even come closer. Just too fast.
She was pregnant?
On this last one, I beat her, but only because she was pregnant. I'm sure. Okay. She's a long distance runner and she's fast. But the 10 other races before then, she smoked me. I wasn't even close. We had to do a 2-miler, and I think I finished in like 13. I think it was 13:51, and I was so glad I beat her. Never mind the time. I was just glad I beat her. The reason why I say that is like Captain Archer was strong. She was smart. She was fast. These are all the characteristics we would normally assign to men, right? We attribute these same things to men too, because men are strong, smart, and fast too. And I think about how I would never say Captain Archer is incapable. I would never think of saying that. You know, she had a sabotage. Like she, in short, she's badass. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. And she was our leader. I looked up to her. You know, one because she was my company commander, so I had to, but also because she was, I think, somebody worthy of calling a role model. Yeah. When I think of what Chris Rock said on the surface, with my experience with, you know, the people I served with, I don't think of that as an insult. You know, those were very strong, very smart, very capable. I would follow them. I did follow them. Yeah. So I think when Will's reaction to me was, it was disgusting, not just because he smacked Chris Rock, but also because he undermined Jada in that instance too. Like, was he saying his wife is too weak? She can't defend herself? Right. Like, come on, man. Demi Moore was badass in that movie. She was. She was. Yeah. So so to me, it's like, what is Willard really saying then about his own wife?
That's actually a really good point too.
Yeah,
and
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I get the whole vision of, you know, her having alopecia and, you know, an ailment or whatever, and maybe being sensitive to it. And I guess she has. I haven't really been watching all of her stuff, but I know she has come out and said many times that how she had to struggle with it and depression and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. But at the end of the day, what we said already several times throughout this episode already is that it was a joke. And to your point, Marcus, it wasn't even. I didn't think it was like that. There's disrespectful of a joke. And not only that, and I didn't realize this later on after it happened, but she herself said, and I actually have it queued up right now, I can play it. She herself said that she didn't care what people say about her head. So if you say that, to me, that's jokes can come from anywhere at that point. Like, and again, and I'm not blaming her, like anybody, I mean, she can't control what Will does, obviously. But if you say that, then to me, it's free game at that point. And I'm gonna play it. Like, it's only the whole video. And she posted this, by the way, on her page, on her TikTok page, about 5 days before the Oscars. So again, that's free game in my opinion. Now it's like a minute long, but I would just fast forward it to the actual part. Yeah. This is the video. I don't know if y'all can hear it or see it, whatever, but I'll play it. Yeah.
So I had to learn to get the courage to just go, nah, I'm not doing that. Which is why I feel the freedom today. I don't give two craps what people feel about this bald head of mine. Because guess what? I love it.
That's free game to make any kind of joke I want, in my opinion. If you just literally say out of your own mouth, I don't give two craps what people say about my bald head because I love it. What's there to go smack about? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know.
And again, I don't blame her. She can't stop Will from doing stuff, but I don't see the big deal. I don't. I really don't. And my fault. You about to say something, Marcus?
No.
Go ahead.
And I was just gonna say, I mean, kind of backtracking to what you were saying earlier too, as far as using words in your hands. I just feel like it was a lame way to go about it. Obviously, he could have easily waited a commercial break and be like, "Hey, I don't like how you handled that joke. That was a bad joke. It's tasteless, blah, blah, blah." And I still feel like this option would have been very unprofessional. But what he could have still done was did what he did without the smack. If he just sat in his seat and just be like, keep my wife from that without violence, it still would have got the point across. Yeah. It still would have got the point across. Still unprofessional, but at least there's no violence involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say about it. Also, another thing that makes it really lame to me is the fact that this wasn't a reaction. I saw a lot of people saying like, well, I don't care if he's joking or not. If this is on the street and somebody said that about your wife, blah, 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 that you would do the same thing, defend your wife, defend women, all that kind of stuff. And I get that. But first of all, this wasn't the streets. This is a professional event, first of all. Secondly, on the streets, I feel like it'd be more of a reaction. Now we can break down the definition of reaction, but in my definition that I'm speaking of right now, it's an immediate reaction. If Chris Rock was walking past them on a sidewalk, whatever, he made a joke and Will smacks him, that's a reaction. He's an arm's length. But in this situation, he had time to think about it, get up, walk about 30, 40 feet. This isn't a reaction. Like, you had time to think about your actions. And it's similar to him smacking that guy in overseas in France or whatever years ago.
Yeah.
It was a similar thing, which, by the way, I thought was hilarious. But it's not about whether it's funny or not. he did the same thing when that guy tried to kiss him or whatever. And don't get me wrong, somebody tried to kiss me, I'd probably smack him too. But if you go back and watch that video, he initially was like, whoa, he pushed him off of him. And then he smacked him. It was again, he had time to think about it before he did it. Like, clearly he's picking and choosing who he assaults and who he doesn't. Like, these aren't immediate reactions. This is time he thinks about it and then does it. And that's what makes it lame to me.
You know, I want to add one more step. You say he had time to think about it, get up, storm the stage. He actually had time to laugh about it and then think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Marcus.
Right.
Yeah, everybody else. The only person who wasn't laughing was
right.
Taylor.
Yeah. And that's a great point, Jordan, too, man. Seriously, because honestly, I didn't even know she made that video about I didn't care about what people say about my head. And it just kind of honestly just makes the joke even less of a big deal.
Right.
Because for me, it looks like why, Will? Why?
Right.
Like, are you that insecure about yourself and you're standing with your wife to hit Chris Rock? Because I'm more in the belief of most people have said, like, I totally disagree. Some people have said that it's the most beautiful thing in the world that he did that. No, it is not. It is not. And then, like, and she knows who said that, and that was full of crap. Like, that is not, because it's not, like, to put your hands on somebody like that who didn't, like, put their hands on you. It's not beautiful. You're not protecting anyone's honor with a fist or a slap like that. That's not beautiful. It's not like, and who thinks that it's not true.
I think when people say, I want to add some more nuance to this. When I hear somebody saying it's beautiful that my partner assaulted this other person, what I'm hearing them say is, one, oh, by the way, this is, obviously absent a real physical threat to their own livelihood, of course. Somebody has a gun out, and they're trying to shoot you, that's different. Obviously,
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But when somebody's telling a joke that apparently 5 days prior, you already said you didn't really care about anyway. Yeah, and this is assuming that Chris Rock even knows she has alopecia.
Right.
It's not it's to keep up with what's going on in her life. It's not he's not charged with that task. So I'll get that as well. But when I think about somebody saying, oh, it's a beautiful thing that my partner was willing to forfeit everything he's worked for to defend my so-called honor, I think that is an incredibly selfish person to have that perspective. And I think that person is craving attention, they're craving validation, and they're willing to let their partner throw away whatever they've been working on to get it. And I think that to me is dangerous. This almost to some degree, there's a bit of narcissism there. Like, for instance, how many of you guys have been in prison before?
I haven't.
No.
I was in prison for a year and a half. I worked there. I worked there for a year and a half. The guys I worked with had life without. They had life with parole. Some guys did more time in prison than I've been alive at the time. Some of those guys are in prison, and they've still. I'm in my mid-30s, and they've still got more times than I've been alive on this planet. And I remember there was this young guy that came in there one day. He only had 3 years. I'm saying only because even a minute to me is a long time, but even like 11 seconds is too much for me. But I remember this guy had 3 years, and he was talking about what he was going to do when he got out, and all these things sounded great. Spend time with his wife and kids, and just get back on the straight and narrow. And I remember something happened. Somebody said something to him in one of our groups we were doing. He thought it was disrespectful, and he was ready to fight and all that. And I remember one of the lifers in there, we call them mentors. One of the mentors said, "You were talking all this sweet sounding stuff, the week before, about how you couldn't wait to get back to your family. The road you're on now, you tell me you don't want your family. you want to stay here with me. He was willing to throw away seeing his wife and kids when I said something he thought was disrespectful.
Wow.
Guess his family didn't mean that much to him in that moment. I guess he forgot all about his wife. Yeah.
That's powerful.
His wife and his 3 little girls.
Wow.
So when I think about that, I think of when you assault somebody, you go to prison.
Yeah.
Prison is not a place you want to be. I worked for a year and a half. You don't want to be there.
Yeah, this isn't little kids. This isn't little kid stuff. This isn't like little kids fighting. We're adults. We should know what right and wrong is, and we should know like what choices lead to bad consequences.
Absolutely, and prison can be one of those consequences. I mean, we all saw it. We all heard it. You know, plenty of people replayed it time and time again. He could go to prison for that. He won't because Chris Rock won't press charges. But I'm saying he could. And I worked in prison for a year and a half, and I don't ever want to go back. I was getting paid to be there, and I still didn't want to be there.
No, I believe it. It could be like it can hurt your psyche. It can hurt your.
Man, that's the worst. You don't want to be there, man. You go there to die. You don't go there.
No, I'm talking about as an employee there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. You know, I'll just say that. But so one of the other things I want to mention is, you know, we were talking about their relationship, and this is something I've heard from a lot of people. Initially, I was seeing where people were going with it. I was kind of agreeing with it, but now that I had time to review some of the words, I don't agree. Some people say they had a toxic relationship. Well, some of the signs of a toxic relationship, this is one of the things I was looking up before we got on call. I was like, well, so you can't be yourself when you feel insignificant, when you feel like your partner cares very little about your time, experiences, or emotions. When you feel like you don't have personal boundaries. So there's no difference in where you start and where they end. When you feel like you have to hide what you really need. Those are characteristics of a toxic relationship. I'm not in their bedroom, although August could probably make that claim. I'm not in their bedroom. I can't pretend to know what. So I'll just say that I don't know what's what. I don't know what the relationship is like when the camera's not rolling. We caught a glimpse when Jada recorded it. Yeah. And like she was trying to use Willard's name and image for notoriety. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you know what recording I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it gives you a glimpse, a small, like very small glimpse into their relationship. But I've also seen where he said there's nothing she could possibly do to leave him. And she said the same thing. So I wouldn't say they have a toxic relationship because they very much want, and clearly they deserve each other. Yeah. They clearly deserve each other. But then another word came to mind, codependent. Codependent came to mind. And I'll be honest with y'all, I deal with these clients sometimes. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I deal with these clients sometimes that are in those relationships. They're hard for me. It's very difficult being in a room with somebody that's in one of those relationships because there's nothing you can say or do to convince them otherwise. That like, leave. You need to get out of there. You can't convince them. Yeah. It's like you just can't. But those people are people pleasers. They defer to other people. They don't they'll neglect themselves to make sure that you're okay. All right. They'll always do that. They're like an emotional doormat. They have low self-esteem. And they're pretty sensitive too. I don't know if that's Will. I don't know. What I do know is that some of those characteristics have been on display over the years, and it's painful to see that. Yeah. This saved the world from aliens like several times. Yeah. He saved them. He can't save himself.
Do you think that from your experience, when you see how he kind of just lost control, do you think that a lot of that has to do with, maybe not a lot, do you think some of it has to do with the way she treats him?
When you asked me that question, I thought, well, you teach people how you want to be treated. True. It's hard to say she's mistreating him when he's the one sticking around. He's already the one that said that there's nothing she could say or do to cause him to leave. I wouldn't say she's treating him any kind of way that he's not asking for, that he doesn't want. One could say, well, he might lose all his money if they got a divorce. The man makes $20 million to film. I think he'll be okay.
He's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay.
You know, there was a story he's told a while back of how his father was beat. His father was an alcoholic. His father worked hard. His father also beat his mother, and he felt powerless as a child seeing that. And he always about it, and it made me wonder. You know, is that what we've been saying all these years? The kid that wanted to do more to protect his loved ones.
Mm.
Is that what we saw that night when he decided to assault Chris Rock? I don't know.
Then that might be part of it. I think that might be part of it.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I think walking around with that kind of baggage. I think it's very, very dangerous walking around like that. And unfortunately, you know, he costs not just himself a lot of opportunities, but other people too, because he's just one person in a lot of the projects he got coming out. He's just one person.
The new season of Cobra Kai is on hold, possibly because of his actions too.
Yeah,
I forgot he was involved. Wow.
Yeah, his Westbrook Studios.
Yeah, all those projects that he was a part of, they've all been like either delayed or just like they're done with those.
Wow.
So it wasn't just him, you know, that yeah. And then, you know, I was talking about that speech when he's like, I'm trying to be the man that God is asking me to be in this moment. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, man. And then I also heard when he when he after the award show when they did the Vanity Fair party, he was carrying along like nothing was wrong, like it was everything good. And I'm sitting there like, dude, like you just slapped the man, and then you apologize to the Academy and don't apologize to the dude that you hit.
Yeah.
Like,
man.
And then you talk about you a vessel of love. Come on, man.
He calls love. I would hate to see what he calls hatred. God, I would hate what he calls that. I mean, you know, and I don't want to just pile on Willard, because I feel like it's easy for me to judge him on my little, you know, my little deeply flawed world. Because I think we've all said and done things that we regret, or if we haven't, stick around because it's coming. Yeah. But I just think, man, it's painful seeing somebody I've watched much of my life evolve into that.
Yeah.
And I use that term devolve on purpose, because where he was and where he is now, two different things.
It's not an increase. Yeah.
Huge regression. And it's crazy. I was reading how he was I think it was Bad Boy. There's a scene where he's supposed to be running with his shirt off, and
and Bad Boys 1,
he fought against that. The director was like, "Yeah, go for it. It's gonna make a great scene." And he was like, "Oh, I'm not doing it." And then finally he agreed to have his shirt unbuttoned, so you can still see something. And I remember thinking, like, that's not the Michael Lowry they're trying to portray in the film. That's a guy who's got some insecurities. He's not sure who he is.
Right.
You know, he's not ready to step into the fame. He's not ready to step into the character, the image he's cultivated for himself. And fast forward to here we are today, you know, and yeah, it's quite apparent that's still not who he is. He's still not comfortable, I think, with his fame or just with who he is as a person.
Right. Wow.
Like I was planning on being on this podcast today to basically like thrash like both of them because of just like just I didn't like what happened. I thought it was mad, like I just thought it wasn't cool. I just thought it was like I thought Jada was like just a toxic person, like what we like when I was, and I wanted to sit back and listen to you and sit back and listen to Jordan to see what you guys thought about it and just listen, because I didn't want to like come across as that negative person about you know, and then I wanted to use this as a way to like learn. And I think it's and it was better that I didn't have to say a lot of that stuff, because I wanted to kind of be that, just sit back and listen, because I could have been as closed-minded as a lot of people and just had my own opinion about it and say, you know, forget the world, forget what their opinion is. That's my opinion. I'm gonna stick to it. But to hear Marcus's explanations about de-evolving and hearing about like what's like not just so much about what happened, but just talking about just how to treat people, and then like just talk about like the consequences of actions like that. Like that, just listening to the whole prison story changed. Like literally, I was gonna say something right before you even brought the prison story up. I was gonna say something about it. I was chomping at the bits to say something, but then you brought up the prison story. I kind of just fell back because I was sitting there like, and I thought about it because like we all want, like, especially when you have someone you want to protect her, you want to make sure that she's safe, but at the same time, just like what Marcus said about, she didn't need you stop her from protecting you. I mean, you stop her from protecting herself. Excuse me. You got to give her the chance, just like how they give us a chance. You got to give them a chance to stand up for themselves in certain aspects. And then honestly, what protection was needed for that? That was a joke. It was a joke. And when you when you step back in hindsight, it was just a joke. It's words. Words don't hurt. It shouldn't hurt you. They hurt because we all have feelings, but it's not enough to go up to somebody to slap them. It's not go up to somebody to hit them. We're adults. We know if we do that, we're going to jail. We're going to prison.
Man, I'm telling you all, right? When you say it's just words, I think about what is communication. I have a thought. I form words in my head. I have the sentiment. I speak those words to you. You receive that message. You interpret what I said, and then you form how you feel based off of what was said and how you took it. And then you have a response to that, and the cycle repeats itself. But along the way, you have to, I send that message, right? I transmit that message. How you receive it is up to you. Those words, to some extent, only have the power that you give them. Because I can have the most malice in my heart, but if you don't choose to empower me by stating what I'm saying, it's gonna fall short. Right. I'm not saying be holier than thou. I'm not saying turn the other cheek. Well, I'm just acknowledging that in that moment when it's just words and not physical stuff, but just words really only do have the power that we give them. And I think that unfortunately for Will, he might have forgotten that message. He might have forgotten that lesson.
Right.
Yeah, we all have a choice, and he just chose to do the wrong thing.
He did, man. I think that's man, it just sucks seeing this happen to this guy like that. It's to throw away all that goodwill, all the great things that he's done for other people that nobody knows about. Like even when he gave those people more money, on the last film that he did, King Richard, a movie I still see, by the way, but he increased their pay. After somebody said something to him, he didn't have to do that. He could just take his money and just walk and continue business as usual. So I wouldn't dare say Will's a bad person, especially not based off of one thing, because say he's done.
We all make mistakes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we do. We make mistakes, and we oftentimes act without thinking. And I think that's what he's guilty of. The problem is he did that in front of the whole world, and most of it significant enough to do anything in front of
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gosh, man, okay. Just to touch on Jada, because I think Will knows who she is. He knows very well who he married, or to put it another way, he knows who he loved his first wife and kid for. He knows. It's not a secret. Well, I mean, it's a secret to us, but he knows who he married and whatnot. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not willing to pinpoint this on Jada. I'm not one of those guys that's like, women are perfect, they don't do anything. I'm not saying that. It's just I struggle to see what sizable impact she had in this when he knew who he married before. He knew like what was what. He knows what would get under his skin.
Yeah.
And sorry to cut you off. Let's stop right now. We'll continue this on part 2. Thank you for joining us for tonight's episode. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.